Please stand. Remove your hat.
Right hand over the heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
Alabama,
Alaska, Arizona,
Arkansas,
California,
Colorado,
Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia,
Hawaii,
Idaho,
Illinois,
Indiana, Iowa,
Kansas,
Kentucky,
Louisiana,
Maine, Michigan, Minnesota,
Mississippi,
Missouri,
Montana,
Nebraska,
Nevada,
New Hampshire, New Jersey,
New Mexico, New York,
North Carolina, North Dakota,
Oklahoma,
Oregon,
Pennsylvania,
Rhode Island,
South Carolina,
South Dakota,
Tennessee,
Texas, Vermont, Virginia,
Washington,
West Virginia,
Wisconsin,
Wyoming.
Thank you. Oh my God, that's beautiful. Love it. Carmen, hold the other. Okay. There's another one, right? From Laguna. Hold that. No, hold that for when I. Oh. Thank you. That was a beautiful way to start our evening. And now you'll have to wait with me 1 second as I get over a few little things here. That I'm lost. I want to remind the public that we are not only live streaming in English, we are live streaming in Spanish. We appreciate all of our guests listening in because it's the most important way to learn what's going on with your children and your schools and how your district is working through the board to provide opportunities for your students. And I have lost my agenda here, my shortened agenda. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you. And I'm going to call on the superintendent for his report. Thank you.
So today, I just wanted to take a moment to say that I was able to join the grandparent club today. I'm really excited about that. So
I had it on my computer too. I just let you know.
we have several reports for you, and so I will keep mine brief. In terms of vaccinations, this was a pretty good week in terms of vaccinations being available, and have heard that the number of people being vaccinated in our schools and our staff has dramatically increased. I know several of us were able to receive their vaccination, either an appointment this week or in the near future. And so as we move and roll out, the vaccination is a very important part of getting back to normal. So that's my report for today. We have really some very exciting things to hear about our dual immersion program that's coming. We have a budgetary report, and there's some good news on that front as well. So thank you, everybody.
Dr. Bob. And Janie, would you like to start with board reports?
Sure, thank you. My first report is about Read Across America, and I shared with Mark what I felt. I called him like right after I read in a classroom. I read at a fourth grade classroom my favorite book, and I Zoomed and I had it all set up, and I got everything together and books, and I planned, and I had this whole great thing going on until I turned it on, and it was like I had the virtual screen. So I couldn't get the book to show. It was very frustrating. I failed miserably, and I turned it into a lesson for the kids at the end of the book. I said, how many of you have ever failed at something? And what do? You go back and you work on it. So I worked that afternoon, and I cleaned it up so that when I got on the next morning, because I did through the district, and I think I did okay on the next one. The third time probably will be even better. So I do want to commend all the teachers, because I have always appreciated the hard work and the challenges that the Zoom teaching, but I have a whole new appreciation for it, even more than I had before. So kudos go out to all of that. The other meeting I attended was the DLAC, and it was really informative. You have a great person in your district. We do. And I want you all to listen to her name, because she really impressed me. Her name is Janet Lao. Am I saying it correctly? Lao? Lao, okay. Yes, okay. She did a presentation, and it made it so much clearer to me, the local control and all the paperwork, that thick document. I learned a lot from her. She was really great. And then there was Paige Medina, who came in, and she did a whole segment on vaping. And Rosanna, I have to commend you, because you ran a very, very tight, nice, clean, organized meeting, and I like those kind of meetings that follow the timeline. So, and I want to wish the teachers conference week is happening, and spring break is coming around the corner, and everybody deserves a great week off, and take a break and do it. Okay? Thanks.
Very nice. Randall?
Yeah, so I want to just start by letting folks know I've been working with Carmen to have free COVID testing happen this Thursday from 12 to 6 at St. Philip Benizi here in Fullerton. So we've been working to try to get some free COVID testing that was sent out through Peach Store. Is that correct? So just wanted to inform everyone out there in the community, this is free COVID testing this Thursday from 12 to 6 at St. Philip Benizi. So should have seen a flyer go out on that. I didn't partake in Reading Across America, but my wife did. She has that skill set. I don't. I probably would have been fumbling with the book as well too. So yeah, so she partaked in that at her best friend's classroom. So, but yeah, that's about it for me.
Very nice. Thank you. Mr. Thator.
Thank you. I just feel like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel with regard to the end of this pandemic. I don't think we're out of the woods just yet, but with increased vaccinations, my own parents being vaccinated, we were able to start our boys back in hybrid learning. They were thrilled to be back in school, to see some of their friends, I could just see a change in their behavior and their outlook. And I'd mentioned that to them, and since I've primarily been home with them for the last year, they said, "That's funny, Dad, we can see a change in your outlook and demeanor as well." So it goes both ways. This past weekend, I had the privilege of watching the district-wide speech championship results. We have so many amazing speakers and debaters, I guess is the best way to put it, here in this district. And it was an honor for me to be there and recognize all of these amazing students and all of their achievements. So thank you so much, Dr. Lee, for your efforts, to Mr. T and his team and the coaches, and special congratulations, of course, to every single student that prevailed in the competitions. But I thought it was wonderful that Pam Keller at Orangethorpe was named the Teacher of the Year, and it was just wonderful to see. So I'm very grateful that I could be involved with that. Good to see everybody.
That's amazing. I think that the speech and debate program is one, it's something that I think we all cherish and understand, that our students are so far ahead by just being part of that program, and that every time you watch it, every time you think the kids can't do better, they do better. And it just makes me feel all warm inside that our future is going to be okay, because we have these kids that are just phenomenal. I can't even speak that well, and when I look at that, and when at that age, there's no way I could have done that. So what we're preparing them for and what you guys are putting your time and effort into is just amazing. So thank you. I want to thank you for that as well. I had the privilege of being part of the Orange County PTA Sacramento Safari over the past few weeks. And normally what we do as a PTA group, and I get to participate because I also am part of that, is we normally go to Sacramento, right? So this year we couldn't go to Sacramento, so Sacramento came to Orange County. And so I was able to be part of the group that had a morning full of speakers, from Kevin Gordon to the education specialist at the LAO's office, to the Senate Education Committee chair, to the Assembly Education Committee chair, and to hear everyone's perspective on COVID and how it's relating and what the challenges are in each one of their areas, and to be able to advocate for our students in our district, as well as those in Orange County, as well as the whole state of California. Nothing new. Everybody's kind of heard about SB AB 86 that's come out, the agreement that they've made. And so we heard a lot about that, about how the negotiations played out and where we are all. We were able to then spend a couple of days with virtual appointments with our Orange County legislators. And that's always fun because I had the power of mute, which is always so wonderful. Can you imagine having the power of mute for a senator and an assembly person? So it was actually very beneficial to be able to take our own Orange County people and have them visit all of our legislators and have that opportunity to advocate. And we were there as they were making the votes. So I think we got in right on time to talk about funding, to talk about what schools really need, to talk about getting our kids back into the classroom and the challenges that we're having as districts across the board, across the county. And again, I always look back at our district and how well you guys have done. And to look at what was good for kids at the very beginning, and to do our very best as much as we can to what we thought was right and what you guys thought was right. And collectively, our staff, our certificated, our teachers, our classified folks, everybody working together to try and do the right thing for our kids. So I can only look forward to, going forward. I think the three messages that we had were obviously full and fair funding, reopening of schools, and then the third, which I think is, probably the most important at this moment, is mental health services for our students, and to make sure that everyone in the state of California is advocating to bring in more mental health services, to be able to identify families and children that are going to be more in need than ever before, trauma-informed care, and everything else that goes along with that. So that's my report, and it was a pleasure to be able to be there and to speak all of our voices. So thank you.
Thank you. It's great. Well, I want to start off with, I love going to classrooms, and sometimes I see children doing adorable things, and I'd like to share with you some students from two fifth grade classrooms at Laguna Road. So if we can tune that on to get in our mindset.
President Sugarman, if we can proceed with a couple of the reports while I get that video.
Okay, I will be happy
maybe
to
we'll
do
go
that.
with FETA first, please, or CSEA?
No, let me finish what
Okay,
my
thank you.
report, and then I'll come back to you. Read Across America, fabulous. It was so much fun, and a special thank you to ISS because they were so organized in their fort. That's what they call their little offices. And it was wonderful. And what I discovered, Janie, was it was really hard to be reading and there's nobody on the other side to react. So you really have to create your own reaction as you're going. And so you land up reading a story very differently than you would read it had you been live in a classroom. Today I had the fun, really it was fun, listening to an hour and a half about how we are going to redistrict the political boundaries for our 5 districts here in Fullerton. And we know that we will need to do that in the near future. I believe that we're going to have till April 2022 to do that. But they think it's a moving target and it may go to December of 2022. And it's online and it's very interesting. So if you have some time that you really want to get inspired, for sure, even the audience, please, you can go to CSBA and look up redistricting and just learn everything you ever wanted to know about the politics of redistricting. I get to go to California School Board Association visit with legislators next week. So maybe we'll have other new things to report. But my favorite thing this week, my most favorite thing this week, was listening on Saturday to a couple of hours of students in speech and debate. And when you see 4th graders who are so young, and they're 10 years old, and they memorize amazing speeches and poetry and interpretations and debate, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. So, the debates, the whole program is broken down for us in Fullerton, 4th and 5th graders, and then what you would call middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And I'd like to read you the list of the winners of our sweepstakes. And these schools can go ahead to the state and some to the nationals for speech and debate. Of course, number 1, I must report that Aruni Takor's son was one of the winners. Not that the board takes special attention of our children. Okay, for our elementary schools, they're broken down into large schools and small schools. For our small schools, 3rd place was Valencia Park. Second place, Orangethorpe. And 1st place, Hermosa Drive. Yay for all of them. That's awesome. In the elementary large school division, 5th place was Rolling Hills. 4th place was Sunset Lane. 3rd place, Richmond. 2nd place, Fissler. And first place, Laguna Road. Let's hear it. Middle school, 6th through 8th grade. Oh my gosh. Small schools, third place, Pacific Drive, our next door neighbor. Second place, Richmond. First place, Nicholas Junior High. Now I'd like to go on to large school sweepstakes, middle school. 5th place, Sunset Lane. 4th place, Ladera Vista School of the Arts. 3rd place, Beechwood. 2nd place, Fissler. 1st place, Parks Junior High, a reoccurring champion. I hoped that as I read all of these schools off to you, you were sitting home saying, my goodness, it doesn't matter what school a child attends. Their ability to win in these contests are full-blown, work hard, and you will win. And I'm so proud about that. Each school has not only the coach that we hire, but they have a person who volunteers to oversee their teams. And indeed, our own Pam Keller from Warren Sharp School was selected as the overall coach of the year, and we're very proud of Pam. So let's hear it for her. All of our coaches really worked hard to help their students. And all of our students, by the way, dressed very professionally. And I'm really excited that their parents really did have to help, or older brothers and sisters or whatever, because all of this was done by Zoom. And so you needed someone to hold that camera so you look very good as you're doing it. And keep it steady, because you want to show your walking, your movement, what you're doing. And if that camera isn't steady, that telephone probably, you're not going to look so good. So from their home, and the ones I observed were mostly from their bedroom or their kitchen, they looked fabulous, and they performed beyond, I think, Hollywood. Better take a look at Fullerton, California. Are we on? Let's hear our song, Laguna Road.
Laguna Road, 5th grade inspirational song.
And if it doesn't work, we'll do it next month.
We will download the video. If it does not download by the time we're done with the reports, we will show it at our April board
and
meeting.
We can do it at April, and we'll just tell them to watch then. And last of all, everyone needs spring break. Everyone has worked very hard wherever you're working. And parents, you get an extra load over spring break, and we hope you enjoy every minute of it. Now I'd like to ask if FETA has someone who'd like to speak, like Mr. Jacobs.
Good evening, President Sugarman, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Pletka, and Cabinet. I am happy to acknowledge that COVID cases are decreasing. Vaccines are slowly making their way to the public and to teachers. Overall, we are seeing more and more students return to school, and our awesome FETA teachers are there to receive them. I would like to personally acknowledge all of our teachers, our subs, and classified support staff for doing an impeccable job during a very stressful time. Though many teachers have still not received their vaccines, the good news is that more and more are juggling their personal and work schedules and finally getting an appointment to receive their first COVID vaccine. This has been an extremely anxious time for some teachers, as the district is requiring those teachers with medical accommodations working from home to return to the classroom by March the 15th. We ask the district to continue to review each teacher's unique situation individually and allow grace and creativity where reasonable, to allow these teachers to safely return to work. COVID or not, let it be known that our teachers continue to juggle, flex, and improvise to make the impossible happen. We love teaching our students, and it's important to reiterate that working this current hybrid model, whether it be from home or on site, is twice the work for teachers. And unless we're extremely disciplined or our families tell us to stop working, we continue to be on while we're at home after the end of each school day. Planning, preparation, responding, and grading continue late into the night and into our weekends. Though tired and often frustrated, FSD teachers are making things happen, connecting with our students, and managing creative ways to teach our students. Currently, teachers are toggling back and forth between their in-person cohorts A and B, while simultaneously engaging their virtual at-home learners, celebrating Dr. Seuss and Read Across America Week, implementing our English Language Proficiency Assessment Test, or the LPAC, teaching all subjects, and carrying on Zoom parent conferences in the afternoon. This is even with internet outages sometimes. Ask Jeremy, he knows all about that. Sometimes our days are truly A days. We look forward to a continued decreasing trend in COVID cases, an expansion of vaccine availability for teachers, and continued PAL collaboration with regular review and assessment of local health conditions to keep students, teachers, and staff as safe as possible. Together, collaboratively, with consensus, we look forward to a safe return of all of our students and staff to school. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know that the board is giving its faith that all accommodations are looked at individually, and that the safety of our teachers is, and not just our teachers, our entire staff is paramount. I, like you, and as mentioned by Trustee Takor, am very excited that so much vaccine is now available, because it changes the entire spirit in a room. Yes, I totally agree with that. And I'm sure our board does too. I'm sure we do. Next, I wonder, does PTA have a statement this evening?
Yes.
Thank you.
On behalf of PTA, good evening, everyone. We again hope everyone is healthy and safe as we continue to progress through the school year. We are also happy to hear that the vaccines are available and being administered to teachers and staff members. We at Council are continuing with some of our regular spring activities. Our annual election meeting will be held on March 30th, and all of our units will be having their elections this month or next month as well. It is also scholarship season for our graduating seniors. Fullerton Council PTA offers scholarships to seniors who are PTA members and who will be continuing their education over the next several years. Scholarship applications and instructions are available with the high school counseling departments. Thank you for all that you continue to do for our students, and we hope to see everyone in person soon. Sincerely, Wendy Reed, Christy Carter from Fullerton Council PTA.
Thank you. Do you have something else to read to us?
And on behalf of DLAC from Eagleth Nuncy, we held our third DLAC meeting in February. We would like to thank all of our principals, Dr. Lee and Trustee Meyer, for attending and supporting the DLAC families. During this meeting, we learned about LCAP, the Consolidated Application, and vaping. We are so thankful to the district for providing us information that supports the whole child. As the DLAC chair and member of the LCAP committee, I was able to participate and provide input into the LCAP. This is an important process, as I am honored to represent the DLAC families. Our DLAC board will be supporting the food drive at Pacific Drive on March 19 from 5 to 7 p.m. In addition, we will help distribute PPE equipment and information on vaccinations. Thank you, Eagleth Nuncy.
Thank you very much. Does CSEA have something to tell us? As she's walking up, we have a new president at CSEA. And we're pretty, no, not you, but we're pretty excited about that. And we're wishing Al a wonderful retirement. That's pretty exciting too. He's been just such a gem. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Pletka, President Sugarman, members of the board, cabinet, and community. I am Joanne DeClaro, speaking on behalf of CSCA. As all of you know, our longtime president, Al Cuesta, has retired. He is finally able to relax and enjoy some much-needed family time and slow down and truly relish all life has to offer. Al, you will be deeply missed. We send our congratulations and heartfelt gratitude for the 12 years he was our dedicated president and chief union steward, with an additional 18 years of service on our executive board. He takes with him a treasure trove full of union and district knowledge, and to quote Ed West, he leaves big shoes to fill, but they're pointed in the right direction. Our new president, Tanya Balek, from Student Support Services, will continue to be the voice of our classified staff and will keep us progressing forward. She will be supported by our new first vice president and chief union steward, Tisa Castillo from Valencia Park. To start off this new chapter, the vaccine rollout has begun and many staff members have already received their first dose. We are hopeful all staff who opt to get vaccinated will be able to schedule their appointments in a timely manner. We all want to decrease the risk of exposing not only our families, but all students, staff, and community members we encounter. One of our departments has been vital to slowing and essentially stopping the spread of COVID-19 through our district, and that's our maintenance and operations department. Clearly, their work is essential to our health and safety, but we often don't know the extent of their reach. Since the shutdown in March last year, M&O have completed approximately 3,000 work orders. In order to be able to reopen schools in September and October, they had to make improvements to every classroom and office site, virtually changing the landscape of FSD. District-wide, they installed MERV 13 filters in every HVAC unit, replaced all electric hand dryers with touchless paper towel dispensers, upgraded to touchless soap dispensers, and installed hand sanitizing units in every classroom and office area. They removed half the desks and furniture from classrooms to allow for indoor social distancing and stored it all in the sea containers they rented for every site. They painted lines and installed decals, stickers, and signs to promote proper social distancing, and they distributed and installed plexiglass where needed, thermal cameras for temperature checking before entering campuses, and set up all the hydration stations. Some campuses were not large enough to accommodate the amount of students who wanted to return in person, so they installed 2 portable classrooms at Raymond, 1 at Beechwood, and 2 at Laguna Road. They even did work off-site at EV Free Church for student daycare. As our overflow site, they needed to meet the high standards for health and safety. Since going above and beyond FSD's underlining theme, we hired 22 sub-custodians, to thoroughly clean every room every day, and an additional 22 sub-custodians for all-day cleaning of high-touch surfaces. COVID-19 will not survive on their watch. Our entire custodial fleet was trained on COVID cleaning procedures and the newly revamped cleaning schedules. New chemical dispensers were installed at every site, and training was provided to utilize electrostatic sanitizing sprayers in all areas. All this work to meet the new standards for COVID safety was in addition to their regular workload. The interesting thing about M&O is their workload changes weekly with the projects they take on. They implemented a new work order and facility use permitting system called Facilitron. Everything is now centralized in one system for ease in tracking, reporting, collecting payments, and organizing our facilities calendar district-wide. They even wrapped up the solar project with all arrays online and producing for the district. Every project, program, and event FSD hosts is made possible through the support of M&O. They are the heart of our district. Their diligence and dedication allow the rest of us to maintain our focus on student success. If we could, we would sing praises and shout from the rooftops in admiration of our unsung heroes in M&O. However, we hope this public announcement will equal the sentiment. We deeply appreciate all the work that they do. And lastly, we would like to express our gratitude to Dr. Pletka for enabling 10 classified staff members to attend this year's Para Educator Conference. In previous years, we've only been allowed to send 2 delegates. but the virtual conference this year allowed more to attend. And we hope that you understand the importance of and the depth of training that this conference provides our classified staff and allow us to continue attending in larger numbers in the future. I'd like to introduce Deanna McCoy. She is a special education instructional assistant at Nicholas Junior High, and she has volunteered to share with you a little bit about her conference experience. Thank you so much, and now a big thank you for Deanna McCoy.
Awesome report. We really appreciate you sharing with us and the public all of the safety things that have been implemented for M&O. And in case the public wonders, why would we go from automatic hand dryers to paper towels? It sounds backward. Touchless paper towels. It's because touching the air blowing on your hands when it's drying can spread germs. And so we're not going backwards. We're going to more safety. Thank you for sharing. And we're excited to hear your report.
Well, hello.
Hi.
So I had the opportunity to go to this awesome conference. I was supposed to go last year, and then, COVID had other plans. And so this year, of course, when I seen the opportunity to go, I took it. And to be honest, I wasn't really sure how it would go because it's virtual. Well, it was more than I could have expected. There was 10 different training sessions, 10 different groups. And each of these 10 groups have 10 training modules that you can take. They also offered these live trainings as well, from mental health to autism, interventions. It really focused on everything that we personally use in the classroom. But for me, the first day was the best. They had this opening ceremony with a speaker by the name of Jonathan Mooney. And Jonathan Mooney, he spoke for an hour, and it seemed to go like this quick. He spoke about his own personal history and him being a student that struggled in school, him being a student that played the drums on the desk, him being a student that would like to run around, and being a student that struggled. And he talked about how life changes and how the process of things, how you grow and how you become. But he spoke about people that are in my position. He spoke about the custodians. He spoke about the people that were there to help him, to listen to him, and just realize and plant the seed in him that the way that he is not bad. The way that he is not negative. And for me, that was a reminder. We're in school and we're nervous. But when you hear someone that you see someone who is an author, he's a speaker, he's this great individual, it plants the seed in us that, okay, we're doing something great. So we had these 3 tips, 3 things that he had to remember. This is my notes. He said that different is not inadequate. And as our jobs as IAs, as other hands inside of the classroom, to remind these students that despite their struggles, that they're amazing. He said to be an advocate, that sometimes being an advocate looks like telling someone that, hey, this student needs this best. This is what works for them best. And not being afraid of what someone might say. And then the third thing he said was challenge the model that we're used to. Remind the people that come into classrooms, remind the teachers, remind whoever it is to be a voice that's saying, it's okay to try to teach this student the way that they need to learn, what works best for them, and to remember that it's okay to color outside the lines. And I just thought for me, once again, it was a firm reminder of what I do is important. What I do is important. What all of us do is so important. And that coloring outside the lines is not bad. And so it was just a reminder. So thank you once again for letting us go. It was awesome. I had a great experience. And that's my nugget.
Thank thank you for your report, and especially thank you for continue. That's an important part of being a wonderful educator. So thank you. That was really lovely. I think, does FESMA have someone who'd like to speak? Dr. Gilligan.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm always the one that's reminding us where we are in time. So guess where we are this time, March 9th. We're a few days away from 1 year anniversary of shutting down schools. So I know back a year ago, you guys made a very difficult decision at that time, but now today we are looking at where we are and how far we have come. And we've had a journey, some stretching us beyond measure, but when we look at where we are today, we are being sought after by other districts who never opened as models. And we've had people call on special education, on general education, on how you do your small groups, and how you make it work with contact tracing and all of that. So I'm grateful for the direction that we have gone. It's definitely been highs and lows, and I know that as we've had our breaks throughout the year, it's helped us to rejuvenate. But I call them COVID nuggets, silver linings, whatever you want to call them, we have found them. And so as much as we can try and attach onto those silver linings, the nuggets, the things that we can take with us, we have gone in a direction that we never thought was possible. And now we are seeing things in a new way. So there are lots of silver linings to be looking at. Hang on 1 second. I also want to highlight that a big thank you to Patty's Cakes, who donated over 40 cupcakes to our mental health team. We were able to put a little surprise at each of our school sites for our mental health associates, our mental health specialists, and our school psychologists. We have really been targeting mental health across the district with our kids and ensuring that we're reaching all of the students who need our help, and then also making those resources available outside of school for our families. We want to make sure that that stays number one in the forefront of what we're looking at as our kids are going to be leaving us at the end of this year, and then also what we need to put in place for changes coming in our future. We don't know what the future is exactly going to look like, but we want to be ready and prepared for that. So a big thank you to our mental health team and our counselors as well. In addition to that, we are excited to work with our new consultant, Danielle Nava Maharis. Our management team will continue to work with her to support us in the cultural awareness, racial equity, and inclusion within all of our schools and across our district and departments. I know each of our principals have already met with her, and we are going to see some great work coming out of this process. So thank you to letting us have the expert in the field that's going to help in our journey. We also, our management team is also excited about having the vaccines, but more than just in the beginning it was going to be certain tiers of people. We are so grateful that it is any school employee can make an appointment to get their vaccine. I also want to do a big shout out to Dr. Bach from Laguna Road, who connected with St. Jude through a personal connection of hers, and so now we're going to be working with them as a location for sending school teams. And lastly, I do want to mention and take a moment to honor the life and the legacy of Dory Skaggs, one of our teachers from Pacific Drive School. Our dearest and deepest sympathies go out to her and her family, her husband and her family, and having the loss of her in our community and passing has been very challenging and hard and tragic, and I know that she has been at Pacific Drive for many years. She lives in the Pacific Drive community, so it's a loss to the community, a loss to our school staff, and so our hearts go out to the staff as well as the community and to her family. So that's it for our board report, and have a wonderful evening.
Woohoo! Inspirational song, and here it goes. One of our favorites.
happy news is the video that was not downloading is quickly downloading, and we are ready to watch the video if everybody else is.
We're so anxious we can't stand it. We think.
Woohoo! Inspirational song, and here it goes. Our favorites. Let's get our boogie on.
This is how they're learning their grammar, their English. Thank you so much. Many ways to teach, and that's a very fun way to teach. And I did want to mention, Carmen, could you please be sure that the board sends a thank you note to Patty Cakes for their continuing support of our district, our staff, and our students' birthdays who are without a home. Thank you. I really
Yes, thank you.
appreciate that. Their partnership means a lot to so many people in our district. We're moving on now to our consent items, and the order of the agenda. Oh, public comments. Public comments. Sorry. Boy, where's
So
my head tonight?
we are now going to proceed to public comments. As a reminder, the public comments
I'm
can be
way down.
found along with every presentation for our board meeting, and you can go to www.fullertonsd.org under the Board of Trustees tab, and you'll be able to find that wonderful information. My name is Carmen Serna, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent. I will be reading one public comment that was received today by the deadline of 2:30 p.m. The public comments do not reflect the opinion of the district and are solely verbatim. The board meeting follows rules of decorum per Board Bylaw 9323. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board limits the total time for public input to 20 minutes. Public comment 1. I want to express my support and gratitude to the Board of Trustees, district leaders, and especially Dr. Lee, principals, and teachers for their efforts and successes in implementing Black History Month celebrations and ongoing efforts towards adopting culturally responsive teaching. I have been closely following the dialogue and efforts of the district to respond to the June resolution to, quotation, improve the understanding of bias into action at my children's school, Raymond Elementary. To kick off Black History Month, our principal, Centeno, enthusiastically and thoughtfully explained the school's plan and reasoning behind it, inviting parents to celebrate at home in support of all that the students were learning. She also led an all-school read-aloud that featured student readers and shared a meaningful lesson about the beauty of diversity. My daughter's two teachers, Maestras Rubalcaba and Escobar, also impressed me with the way they created engaging lessons. Fourth grader has been learning about historical heroes through virtual museum visits, and also current Black leaders that inspire young people to take action today. Her teacher shared a lesson about different types of smart, using Black Americans as models of different types of intelligence. In the midst of a very difficult year, our teachers and administrators have challenged themselves to ensure our kids are learning and practicing how to make our communities more just and fair. Thank you for all your efforts and willingness to be stretched and brave. I look forward to continuing to follow and support these efforts as we seek to integrate innovative approaches throughout the school year. Sincerely, Ruthie Hinchet.
Thank you very much.
I would want to remind that in May, we are going to have Asian and South Pacific Islander Month, and that we will look forward to that diverse education also, and teaching of respect. Thank you. Next, the minutes. Does anyone have any additions or corrections for the minutes?
Meeting of February 9th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, thank you.
I want to, should I add
Trustee Takor? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? That's 5-0. And now the agenda.
May I also, I forgot the special meeting minutes of the 16th. We need to
Thank
approve
you.
those too. So I make a motion to approve the
Yeah.
meeting minutes for the 16th as well.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Perfect. I actually thought you were doing both.
I forgot. to
Any
add that.
corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that was a really good meeting. Okay, now the agenda approval. Does anyone want to suggest moving anything around on our agenda? See no suggestions, may I have a motion to accept the agenda as it is?
I move to accept the approval or the agenda as it is presented.
A second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they'd like to pull or discuss on our consent agenda? Aruni?
I don't have anything to pull, but I just love item O, where we will have electric vehicle charging stations around the district. I just think that that's so cool, and so congratulations to everybody for getting that done.
So, Dr. Gilligan, you may get more phone calls about putting out charging stations. Again, ahead of the curve. Thank you. And
Right. I have a couple.
Trustee Barron?
And thank you for all the lessons on electric car vehicle charging stations, you guys. I wanted to give a shout out to those that are retiring. I think for those teachers that have stepped up and put in their intent to retire, we sure are going to miss them. Looking at the list is, you know, I get it, and I get that people have to retire in the world, and that's what we do, but the years of service and the contribution of our teachers is just phenomenal, and I just hate to see that. You know, I hate to see the list as it is.
Before you go on, I want to take a minute and read the list.
Okay.
Mike Bledsoe, Kenny Bossum, Doug Bowder, who actually retired a little earlier, Terry Hanna, Linda Kelly, Wendy Lloyd Davies, Pamela Riono, Yvonne Silva, Susan Smith, Marcy Stanislaw, and Ken Zay are on the list right now, and we agree with you, and I believe that we were going to have one more person who was Dory Skaggs, and we really do feel heartfelt for Dory, her students, her co-teachers, everybody. Go ahead.
Item T, working on the resilience workshops for TK families. I do know that our challenges with our students who have been starting just over the past few years, watching those challenges and knowing how much greater those needs are now, to have someone come in and to help our TK teachers really understand trauma-informed care and how to be able to maneuver that. I'm also very excited about the the North Orange County ROP being able to work with our middle school students on providing them with opportunities to learn about different things. You know, since we don't have all those electives anymore, I just think it's a great way to have our kids experience. You know, it's all about experiences. What things do I like, and what things don't I like? thanks for all the hard work in our county plan for providing educational services for our expelled students. I think that, again, we talk about mental health and we talk about kids, and, and one of the things that in my day job, when we work with mental health kids and we work with children, just changing your mindset to what's wrong with you to what happened to you, I think makes a huge difference. And I think this plan talks about what happened to you as a child. What challenges have you had, and how can we help you get through that, as opposed to, expelling kids and just placing the blame and punishment. So I really am very excited about that. I think that was all that I will talk about now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to pull anything or discuss anything? Jumping on with Trustee Berryman, I not only appreciate the family education plan for 2K families, but the parent education plan of our other students in the higher grades. It's nice that during COVID, this district has not forgotten to take the time for the educational programs for our families and our parents, because it's a time they probably need it more than ever, and we could have lost that vision in all of the plastic and cleansing and masks and fears, and helping them is a super important thing to do, especially now. So thank you to the leadership for providing that. We always do gifts. Do you want to post the gifts? We have the gifts to post. My computer really hates me tonight. And we always want to thank people for the gifts that they donate to us, because it makes a difference. And you can see there that we even make money off of coupons. I think it's Raymond School that collects coupons. So if you have coupons and you don't have children at Raymond School, it's okay. You can send them to Raymond. It's a good thing to do. It's partnership. It's teamwork. And so when you're cooking, if you have coupons, put them in a plastic bag, send them over to Raymond. The sadness about my favorite thing, donations, because they are important to accelerate the learning of our schools. It's a short list tonight. Please, as you're out there in the world right now, think about donating. I would like a longer list next month, okay? That would be very nice. And last of all, tuition reimbursement. We have a relationship with our classified workers to encourage their growth and learning. And this month, Yuen Chang and Vicki Vasquez will be reimbursed for college classes, and we are honored and proud to encourage them to continue their education. So good for them. Thank you guys for continuing. Do I have a motion for consent?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those who don't approve? 5-0. Thank you. And now to the meat, maybe, of our presentation update. And I think Dr. Lee is going to do this. It's going to talk about issues relating to how do we fix students who've had learning loss and cultural responsive training. Dr. Lee?
Good evening, President Sugarman, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Bob Pleka, fellow cabinet and guests. It is with much pleasure, con mucho gusto, 많은 즐거움, that we have a presentation on two important topics tonight. The first presentation is on the district's response to learning loss, and the second presentation is on our continual efforts towards diversity, equity, and inclusion, focusing on culturally responsive teaching. So before I bring up our team to present tonight, I do want to recognize Ed Services staff that isn't here with us tonight. We want to recognize Phil Ling, Emily McDougall, Kimberly Simpson, Kyle Myers, Janice Lee, and we're just so fortunate to have also Amy Sotolongo, our PBIS coach, a part of our team. But here tonight with us is Sung Chi, Director of Educational Services, and our two program coordinators extraordinaire. We have Jason Chong and Rosanna Fonseca.
Good evening.
So this past year has brought so many challenges, I think, for all of us, but especially for our students. In addition to their social and emotional needs, we know that there's a lot of work that needs to be done to mitigate the learning loss that many of our students have experienced. So tonight, our Ed Services team would like to share with you how we are currently addressing learning loss this school year, our plans for the summer as well as our plans for continued support as we move forward. So as you know, our schools are working hard to make sure that they are providing the academic supports and interventions for their students. At the district level, we want to share some of the programs that we've implemented this year to address learning loss. Now, Jason Chong, our program coordinator of educational services, will highlight three programs.
Good evening.
As Song has shared, the sites have given great instruction and supports for student engagement and achievement. Ed Services utilize approaches of support that allows students to continue their learning, including asynchronous, synchronous, and enrichment opportunities. Extended Play is an asynchronous program that provides ELA and math content for students in grades 4 through 8, as they can complete lessons aligned to the standards and district curriculum. This support is available online and is independently paced for students to interact with.
Would this be part of the regular school day?
This is after school hours and can be done over the weekend, anytime beyond.
Thank you.
Yeah. For synchronous support, Delta Club has provided support for students through live, virtual, small group tutoring sessions for students at the Title I elementaries. We have partnered with Signition to provide online tutors for targeted grade level reteaching, while iReady online adaptive lessons provide student level skills practice. This program started in February and will continue through April. For enrichment and engagement, STEM Nation has provided 3 strands of activities in robotics, app design development, and STEM career discoveries. Through the partnership with the Fullerton Education Foundation and Ozobot, we have been able to transform Robot Nation and the Congressional App Challenge into STEM Nation. Investigating, creating, and implementation of coding, design thinking, and robotics, students have shown great creativity and applications of these STEM strands. Over 1,000 FSD students from TK through 8th grade are a part of the nation, and we are looking forward to recognizing these students in April at our drive-through celebration, where students will receive STEM Nation gear or swag, and we will send an invite to you all to stop by as the date approaches. Thank you.
I just want the people who may be listening in at home, parents especially, to know that they can go on our district website and look up STEM Nation, STEMNATION, and there they will see opportunities under the 3 categories to participate, and it is absolutely fine for parents to help them. This is the way we learn, and there's nothing wrong with your mom or dad or brother or sister or aunt or uncle helping you to do any of these activities.
Well said, thank you.
Thank you.
So we've already started the work on our summer plans for this year. So we will be offering multiple programs this summer, some for the purpose of mitigating learning loss to get our students caught up, and some for the purpose of extending student learning. So for the purpose of mitigating learning loss, we will be offering FSD Summer Learning Academy. Kinder through 8th grade students that are working below grade level will be invited to attend this 3-week summer program. The Summer Learning Academy will be offered at multiple sites, and it's going to depend on how many students qualify and how many teachers are available this summer. The
Great.
FSD, I'm sorry? Oh, thank you.
Should I wait and ask a question after?
Sure.
Just how are for the students that are going to this, are we using their
Sure.
benchmarks or what have you to identify which students these are?
Yes, so we're going to be using our local benchmarks as well as our iReady scores, but we know we're also going to need to rely on teacher recommendations as well, just because our data is limited this year. And then also we're going to be relying on our RTI coaches as well to provide recommendations as well.
Thank you.
So the FSD Summer Learning Academy will be an in-person program focused on intensive targeted interventions. And because of this, class sizes will be capped at about 15 students per teacher. Students will be taught through 3 one-hour rotations. We will also be offering the ACES program for students who need to stay on campus after the Summer Learning Academy ends each day. Lastly, mental health associates will be on site to provide continued supports and services as needed.
Yeah.
And now Rosanna Fonseca, our program coordinator of Ed Services, will share more details about the 3 one-hour rotations.
What will you be providing food for them also?
Yes, so we've strategically set it up so that school ends roughly about lunchtime so that we can provide a grab-and-go lunch service.
Your program sounds wonderful.
The unique rotation schedule will provide students with fun and engaging learning experiences. Students in kinder through 2nd grade will receive an hour and a half of English language arts, incorporating skills in listening, speaking, reading, and writing, with a particular emphasis on the foundational skills necessary to learn to read. For math, these students will participate in critical thinking and skill development through cognitively guided instruction, or CGI, which is a student-centered approach to teaching math. For students in 3rd through 8th grade, will receive an hour of both ELA and math. In both of these rotations, students will participate in small group, targeting key standards and skills, and interacting with teachers and other students on specially designed lessons to accelerate learning growth. For the third rotation, which is an extension activity, kinder through 6th grade students will participate in PE as well as arts through all the arts program. In 7th and 8th grade, we've partnered with North Orange County ROP to provide career and technical education lessons focused on exposure to various career fields.
So, for the parents who are listening, we want them to be aware if their children are invited to be part of this program, this is not punitive, this is not negative, this is a really fun learning camp. And they're going to have a great time, and they're going to have food, and they're going to have very small class size, and we hope that the children who are invited will accept the invitation.
Absolutely. Additionally, we will also be having 3 strands focused on English learners, dual language, and students needing intensive reading foundational skills. FSD will continue to support our English learners through the EL Jumpstart program by integrating English language development in the English language arts and math rotations. Also, students will receive a designated instructional time to help them develop and practice their English skills through a designated ELD time. Also, students enrolled in our dual language academies at Raymond and Pacific Drive that need Spanish language academic support will have the opportunity to participate in a DLA strand. Some students will also have the opportunity to receive intensive reading interventions through the Linda Mood Bell reading clinics. Students participating in these programs will have specific criteria that will qualify them to participate. Each program will be structured in the same way with the 3 rotations.
So you know that in Fullerton School District, we never just settle, right, for the bare minimum. We always go above and beyond. And so in addition to supporting students working below grade level, we will also be offering many other programs for students to extend their learning during the summer. Extended Play Summer Edition will be offered again this summer. Students will progress through a self-paced, online adaptive program to continue their learning of ELA and math standards. We will also offer all the arts, speech and debate, and GATE academies. The ESY, or the Extended School Year Summer School, will continue to be offered for invited special ed students. And lastly, Child Development Services will offer the Lab Summer Program again. And so with so many summer programs that we're offering this summer, we will have a one-stop shop website that will house all the information that parents and the community will need to go to learn about the various programs that we're going to be offering, and also how to register their children. So information. I'm sorry?
Is that already up on our website?
No, it's in progress right now. We're planning on launching it very soon.
Okay, you'll let us know so that we can tout it. Okay.
Definitely, we will do that. Thank you.
We'll send out a message to the whole community when it comes out.
But they like hearing it from us, we say.
Yes.
Directly from.
So information on the various summer offerings will be sent to parents in the next coming weeks. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Dr. Lee to share about our plans for continued support beyond the summer.
Even with intensive, intentional approaches, we know 3 weeks is not a solve-all. We know this is going to be an ongoing journey we need to take, not only with our certificated staff, our teachers in the classroom, our classified staff, and our administrators, as well as additional support needing from community partners. In that, looking beyond just the summer, we're looking to expand our RTI coach staff. We know that there's intensive supports needed around the works, tier 3 interventions. But it's not just about the service to the students, it's building capacity within our teacher coaches to lead instructional vision at their sites alongside their administrators. So in that, we want to be able to also help our teachers in the classroom address needs that COVID has brought upon us. But in that too, the continued supports look similar with intervention models, but we're taking more of an intentional approach with even Delta Club. We're partnering with Linda Mood Bell to offer intensive services, as well as continuing with Extended Play. We have a fan club out there who are logging in and continually participating, so we do not want to disappoint. We know that we're going to continue our summer programs way beyond just this summer into summer of 2022.
Thank you for a great presentation.
Hey.
Yeah, I did. I had a question. So you shared that some of the schools will be offering the summer school based on the need. So how can you kind of share an example of what it potentially would look like, since it won't be offered at every school?
Actually, you want to address them? Oh. How kids are taking based on needs and how it's offered.
How do you select the school? How many do you think you will be having?
Right, so that is one of the biggest challenges is, once we've identified the students, which we are currently doing right now, what we are going to be doing is we're going to be looking at how many students at how many grade levels by school to really determine which are the school areas that we can offer this program. But we do know that even though, let's say one of our schools, we're not offering it at that school, we know that there may be some students that will need transportation as well. So we know that we're going to be working on providing busing as well for some of those students to be able to make sure that they have access to be able to go to the schools. But right now, the biggest question that we have is really trying to see how many teachers are willing to work during the summer. Tomorrow, right after this board presentation, we're actually sending out an email to all of our teachers asking for their support in terms of teaching during the summer. So depending on how many teachers we have, That's really going to let us know how many students we can invite. Once we have those numbers, once we look at the breakdown of the schools, that's when we can determine which schools we will be offering this program to. But we definitely know that there are going to be some students that are going to need access in terms of transportation, so we will be working with that as well.
It might be nice if when you get that information to disseminate it to us, know what schools and how many.
Yes, we have part 2, which is our update on culturally responsive teaching. And here presenting is Rosanna Fonseca.
Good evening, President Sugarman, school board members, executive cabinet, Superintendent Dr. Pleka, and all families present and listening. Tonight, we will be sharing an update on diversity, equity, and inclusion through the lens of culturally responsive teaching. Here is a quote from Zaretta Hammond, the author of Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain. Culturally responsive teaching means reflecting and being willing to listen and change in order to respond positively and constructively. This work is aligned to Goal 3, the Board Goal 3, which addresses the need for hiring diverse staff who are culturally responsive, and Goal 4 that focuses on welcoming and engaging families by providing meaningful and culturally responsive opportunities. During the month of February, the Fullerton School District recognized Black History Month as part of a larger call to strengthen and advance our work in multiculturalism and racial equity. In an effort to support school sites, the teachers and in an effort to support school sites and teachers to honor and celebrate Black History Month, we curated resources for all grade levels that included lesson plans, multimedia, and literature. Additionally, we had guest readers from all stakeholder groups to read books and celebrate Black and African American history and lives. In receiving feedback from sites and teachers, we also curated a scope and sequence of 2-week lessons according to themes for each grade level that we're ready to implement. Here is a sample of a 3rd grade plan. This is a 2-week plan that focuses on trailblazers and athletes. Using a vertical scope and sequence, we were able to cover a wide range of figures and topics in Black or African American history, as opposed to grade levels learning about the same topics. We wanted to be mindful to feature the broad and expansive history of the Black experience. We would like to highlight some schools with their implementation. In the upper right, you can see an example of how Fern Drive used their social media to highlight renowned African American scientists that shaped American history. They took the opportunity to align and incorporate Black History Month to their school goal of STEM integration. In the bottom right, you have an example of a presentation slide from Pacific Drive that they shared with their parent groups. This video provides parents an example of how to discuss race and racism with their children at home. Nicholas brought their Black History Month to life through the use of themed doors that gave students choice and voice in learning about the various topics, such as historical Black colleges and universities, biographies, and historical figures. Parks invited Baba the Storyteller to host a virtual assembly to share the ancient West African storytelling craft known as Jaliya. Hermosa's Student Council leveraged the use of Instagram to integrate its school physical well-being goal by highlighting the talents and the life of Jackie Robinson. Beechwood invited Carmen Rubin, a children's book author dedicated to bringing diversity and inclusion to children's literature, to come and read her stories as well as to share her journey and process as a writer. Students were able to participate in live question and answer, and she will also present to the parent community this month. This incorporates Beechwood's school's signature practice of reading workshop. These are just a few examples of the meaningful lessons and engaging opportunities that students experience at each of our 20 school sites. We had the pleasure to observe various teachers teach lessons from their site's comprehensive Black History Month plan. A team including Trustee Sugarman and Ed Services staff learned about quilt history from their use as codes during the Underground Railroad and as a storytelling tool as in works by famous artists such as Faith Ringgold. We engaged in interactive and musical lessons about the history of jazz music. And we were delighted to hear a read aloud in a DLA kindergarten class from a Black author promoting a message of welcoming, kindness, and inclusion. While Ed Services provided resources, the teachers at each of the 20 sites adapted these resources and or used them to develop more meaningful lessons specific to their community. The teachers brought such magic to these lessons, making them responsive to their students' interests and unique to their site's programs. The work around culturally responsive teaching doesn't end here. Our work is just beginning. In our continued efforts to support sites with their growth in culturally responsive teaching, Ed Services continues to curate resources that accurately reflect our diverse community. Additionally, staff is provided with a monthly update that spotlights special dates and noteworthy practices occurring throughout the district. Site leaders, district administrators, and cabinet are engaging in continued book study conversations and ongoing learning guided by Zaretta Hammond's Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain. We are proud that so many of our established partnerships already support this meaningful work. The Museum of Tolerance will be hosting grade level specific, docent-led virtual field trips available for 6th through 8th graders. We have an established relationship of collaboration with the Korean Cultural Center in Los Angeles, which broadens the understanding of this cultural group in our community. We are also developing some newer relationships as an outcome of some of the site's conversations that have started due to this work. For example, the Sick Coalition has provided children's literature and lesson guides that achieve our shared values of promoting kindness and anti-bullying. One place where this work is most visible and tangible is in the growth of our book collections, both digital and print. Ed Services has purchased library collections for Hispanic Heritage Month and Black History Month, which were shipped directly to the site's media centers. Additionally, in order to provide access to all of our students, we have purchased hundreds of digital copies of culturally diverse collections that are available to all our readers on their iPads.
If there are people listening from home or principals who would like to increase their libraries, the Fullerton Education Foundation has on their website a place that you can donate specifically for books for schools. It's tax deductible, and it would enrich the libraries both of classrooms and schools for students. And so that's the Fullerton Education Foundation, and they're working in conjunction with the Fullerton School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Sites have been encouraged to continue building their culturally relevant library collections and to consider the opportunities that all our students have to see themselves and their lives reflected in the books that they see. In relation to the work around culturally responsive practices, we have stayed committed to including our various parent stakeholder groups. At the school level, administrators outline their parent communication in their site's implementation plans. And these groups are able to give feedback and be informed as we go through this work. Stakeholder input has been an important part of our process. And as we work with various groups, we will be tapping into their expertise and knowledge of their communities. Since the February 9th board meeting, Danielle Nava-Mijares has met one-on-one with every principal in the district. She's led a professional development with principals and assistant principals and the district management, and is working to support in the development of a framework and a task force to move us forward in our work around diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Thank you.
We hope that this gave you a glimpse of what we have accomplished so far. Thank you for the opportunity to share our continued collective efforts in this critical and student-centered work.
Thank you very much. Yay. That was very thorough. Would anybody from our board, have interest in asking a question?
Not a question, just a recognition of this amazing work. And I'm so excited, you know, it wasn't just about 1 month or one necessarily group of people in our society or our district, but it was about preparing, or at least my interest in this topic was about teaching our children to be citizens of the world and to be able to interact with anybody and to do so with respect and a deep level of understanding. And I just think that this is such a wonderful step forward. I'm very, very pleased and so grateful. Thank you.
I'm going to echo exactly, because I think that in June, as we sat here and we struggled through a resolution, that was not an easy time for anyone, and I know that, and our community struggled, and we worked through it because this is where we wanted to be. We wanted to be somewhere where we weren't just taking a week and recognizing one group of individuals. That we wanted this to be something that art was inbred in our culture, that this is something that we did, and it's something that our children all will benefit from and make them better, you know, expand it and make us all better people. So I also appreciate all the work and time that we put into it. And it's not over. It's this is just the start. And for everyone that's out there listening, I think that, it's steps in the right direction, and it's patience, and it's, things don't happen overnight because we all have to be on board, and you can't just mandate something to happen. You have to bring it, and it has to come organically, and I think that you guys have made that happen. So I really, truly appreciate all the time and effort you've put into this. Just one question with the task force that I know that is coming up. Will that task force, do you know what that will consist of? Is that a parent group? Is it staff? Is it a bit of everybody? And how are they chosen?
We have a meeting with Danielle this Thursday to tackle that as well.
Okay.
So we'll get a lot more clarity out of it this week.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to give kudos for this presentation. It kind of does put everything, it encompasses all the hard work that a lot of the schools are already doing. And I think it does kind of show something to the community as a whole, that we were already kind of doing, a lot of this. Again, knowing from Woodcrest, they had been starting a lot of their work, 3 years ago. It wasn't just because of a resolution. And then kudos to Nicholas. I saw firsthand their lounge, their digital lounge that was in this presentation. So I think the public does need to go to each school site and see kind of specifically what they're doing, because again, we know that it's not one size fits all, and we do want to make sure that we are being inclusive in that element of the diversity of each school, and making sure that we are addressing that the best way possible. I did have a question though in regards to kind of what was the outcome of meeting with all the teachers, with all the principals, with Danielle. So was there kind of like something that all the principals, in a sense, needed from her, or was there something specific?
I think it was the information Danielle needed in order to begin the work of building a framework. Kudos to her, because when we said let's do a framework, it wasn't about just a framework. She said, I need to meet with every single site to get a better grasp. Even though she is a Fullerton resident, we don't want to go by just our knowledge of each site. We want to go by and hear the voice of the principal to determine sometimes priority with their needs, but also sometimes a closed private space to be able to have that conversation. We were not present in that conversation. I actually appreciated that very much. So it gave a platform for principals to honestly share where they are at. So in that, we are ready this week to now look at this framework with the lens of 20 sites and to begin building. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Jenny?
It's really nice to see that the listening tour is in action now. Because words, it wasn't about words, it's about the action that you put together, and such a comprehensive program that you've already started. It's really impressive to see what we've done in really a short time to make this move. So kudos to you, thank you.
Thank you very much. And next, we have our favorite part of the day, action items.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have a budget thing, don't we? We have Mr. Moneybags at some point.
Is Dr. Lee going to be presenting dual language, or the Spanish language? You just want us to discuss?
Yes, this is not something for you to discuss. Ultimately, leading to action. There were a couple things on
Last month.
So one of them is looking at junior high.
Right.
And so we had really recommended that both at LD and at Nicholas that we have the program at both of those schools, and that we get started. If you were to pass that this evening, to begin the planning of that. And so this is really your time to do some discussion and ultimately decide if you want to take action tonight. You can do that, or if you wanted to wait for another month, you could do that as well.
Thank you. So where do we start this discussion? Last month, we had a broad presentation that we can, number one, afford probably to do both schools. Number two, for different reasons, people were interested in different schools. Some had to do with transportation. Some had to do with other things, offerings at the school itself for electives. And then we discussed space. And now we have to discuss, do we want to go with a single site, or are we daring enough to go with two sites? And that's where we are. Janny, do you want to start?
Well, I thought the presentation last time was pretty thorough. I know there were a couple of questions. I think, Rooney, you had something that you wanted them to add to, some more information about something?
No, not at this point. I don't.
Okay. Because I thought that was sort of the reason why we put it off. I'm ready to vote on it. I think both.
Do you want to make a motion?
Sure. I'll move to approve a pathway for Spanish Dual Language Academy at the junior high level at both Ladera Vista Junior High of the Arts and Nicholas Junior High.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. So I have a first and second. Now with discussion, you can go forward.
I know that I requested the cost breakdown, and so thank you guys for providing that to us. So I think that helped me understand how much it was going to cost for both of the sites. So I just wanted to make sure that we were going to be okay. And so I got the additional information that I was looking for.
And how do you feel?
I feel good about it.
Yeah, I was just hoping that the public provided some input on this, and it looks like there's no public comment. So, yeah, I was just kind of giving it some time to make sure folks understood that both Ladera Vista and Nicholas were, potentially going to be adopting the dual language. So that was my only reason.
We did get that communique that gave a few, the communique that gave a few parents comments.
Yep.
No, I'm ready to go ahead and vote on this. I think it's exciting. DLA, from my personal experience, is transformative for a campus because of the interest that it attracts from the parent community. I did at one time think that one campus was better, especially if it would serve to sort of energize a campus that maybe wasn't seeing energy previously. But I think I've evolved on the issue, and that is that if we were to continue to grow DLA in a few years from more than two campuses, it may be better in the long run to have 2 junior high sites so that one site isn't completely overrun, and we can continue to have things like parent choice and let other programs evolve organically that the community wants. So kudos. I'm looking forward to seeing this program move forward.
Okay, let's take a vote on this. Is this one of the things we have to vote individually on, Carmen, or can we do a group vote?
We could do it through a majority, a whole group.
A whole group, okay. All those in favor, thumbs up.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5-0, and I hope that if parents are interested in this topic, they will spread the word in the wind like gossip that we will be offering 2 junior highs in the future for dual language immersion Spanish. And we're excited. And as you've heard, our teams put in place summer programs to restore learning to students and to enrich learning for students, and programs about responsive teaching for minority students and how unbelievably deep they go and how broad. I am sure they will do a wonderful program, or we'll yell at them, but they will do. They are so capable, and we're excited. We are, as a board, I think, quite excited over this. The next
one more topic.
Korean language.
Yes.
Yes, that's our next topic. So we had discussed last month. Do you want to make a statement, or should I summarize? Go ahead.
So through that committee process, they looked at
Microphone, Bob, microphone.
through the committee process, there was a recommendation that the next dual immersion would be Korean. We have not identified a site, but would like really your blessing to proceed with identifying a school and identifying a community and even a model on how we're going to do this. So at this point, you're not voting on a school, but you're voting on direction that we can pursue and should pursue this and the resources needed to begin this journey.
And this would not be for the fall. It would be for this fall. It would be for the fall of 2022.
Yes.
Just so that everybody is clear on that. And that is when we would start kindergarten. Dr. Lee, did you want to add anything?
We began the work with a contribution from the Korean Cultural and Education Center of a $30,000 grant to offer Korean as an expanded foreign language program. So that's different from the dual immersion, but there was such a high community interest and response. We have a waiting list for our programs, and they're filled to capacity. So the committee, the multilingual task force, also has indicated that be the desired next language, but we also have data as presented in our previous board meeting about the models of a dual language program in which we do have the native speaker component be a part of the program to make sure that there is success with the program in the language acquisition between English as well as Korean. But in that too, it also bridges the generations, and I think that's the heart of our dual language is for our language-speaking community, our second language speakers, we're noting the generational gaps, and then the need, desire, and to bridge the generations together has come across not just in parent voices, but in student voices themselves. I think Dr. Bob and I were at a meeting where a parent indicated that a student said to the parent, like, I don't want to lose my language. Like, I don't want to lose my heritage. I don't want to. And so the voice of our kids, too, is they also want to be able to retain, celebrate, and recognize the assets that our cultures and the diversity and dual languages bring.
Thank you. Do I have a motion so we can discuss it?
A motion to approve the expansion of the Fullerton School District's Dual Language Academy to include Korean language.
Thank you. Beth? And we have a second. Now, who would like to start this discussion? I'd like to just put one fact out there. The largest group of students in our school district now, currently, over 50%, are Latinx. The second largest, at around 27%, close to that, are Asian students. So that we are aware that we do have a large percentage of our student population who are Asian, and of those, the majority happen to be Korean. Just to throw that into the mix of our conversation. Well, you start because you made the motion.
No, I love the bridging the generational gap. My youngest being in the dual language program currently now, when he speaks to my parents, his grandparents, in Spanish, it's that thing that you don't want to lose. So that's why I'm really in support of this. To Trustee Sugarman's point, if it's a large population, we want to make sure and respect that in this community of ours.
Thank you. Jenny? You're good? Aruni?
I'm so excited that I get to vote for this because I think we're going to look back in 10 or 15 years, and this will be like a watershed moment for this district. I think that every community, every immigrant community seeks the best for their children, but as a lifelong Fullerton resident, in my 40 years, I don't think there's one community really that's added more to the cultural depth and diversity to Fullerton than the Korean American community. And so just to have this partnership and this sort of further deepening of the relationship of Korean Americans seeking excellence in education and finding themselves in Fullerton, this is just one more step along that path. So, and I think we're going to be hearing about this in the news in the next few years. It's so exciting.
Deb, you're ready to vote? That's wonderful. I'm just proud, again, that during this time of COVID, our staff has had the forward thinking and the energy to go forward with these concepts. So, everybody who's in favor, thumbs up. Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. And I do hope that it gets in the press that we are going to go forward with this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we come to the highlight of this entire evening, when Dr. Copeland is going to tell us all about our financial status. And everybody, you have a copy of the second interim. And we have spent a lot of money this year, and Melissa has looked for how to replace our coffers. Thank you, Melissa.
Well, good evening. It's been 3 months since we were up here giving the first interim report. So tonight is the second interim report, which shows our spending from July 1st all the way to January 31st. And we also look at the 2 years out to see where we're at. And things change rapidly. Things changed between second interim last year and adopted budget to first interim to second interim. So a little update. since first interim, budget proposals forecasted a dramatic restoration of funding. This is due to, again, when the state of California adopted the budget last June, they had no indication of what kind of revenue was going to come in because, remember, they had postponed people for their taxes into July. So at first interim, we had heard that revenue was coming in stronger with personal income taxes, corporate taxes, stock market is at an all-time high. And so now what needs to happen is the governor and the legislature needs to strike a balance or decide what are they going to do with all those deferrals. Are they going to pay down those deferrals, which would be a good thing to do. That's a great mechanism that was put into place at the when the budget was adopted in lieu of cuts. So they need to make that decision. State resources, they're targeting those for COVID, as you know, AB 86, SB 86, for learning loss mitigation and to get schools reopened. We are reopened, but we'll receive that money, so we're going to get some of that. Deferrals remain in place for the remainder of this year. For this year, we did not receive a COLA, but for next year, they're having a catch-up COLA. Not catch-up, and I know I've never said catch-up COLA in the same thing. It just, as soon as I said it, it sounded pretty funny. We've thrown in some fries there, and we've got ourselves a meal. So what that means is the catch-up COLA is we received 0% COLA this year. The catch-up would be next year. They're estimating it would be about 2.34% for this year, and next year would be 1.5% COLA. We'll have more to report on this after the May revise. The governor, they come out with the latest adjustments to the budget before we adopt in June. So let's look and see what's changed from first interim to second interim. We're just going to focus on we're focusing on the general fund, and we're focusing on unrestricted funds. The vast majority of our funds are unrestricted. The restricted funds, those which come in federal dollars and some state dollars, which need to be spent on certain programs, unrestricted, much more discretion. So what's changed from first interim to second interim, on our revenue, we've gone down about $70,000. We went up $100,000 in our LCFF with our unduplicated count percentage, but went down local about $170,000 of what we estimated for interest. As you know, interest rates are at an all-time low, and so the money that we receive on our ending balance is also going down. Deferrals are still in place. Currently for Fullerton School District, $18.56 million, which was and is to come to our district this year, is being deferred until next year. We're not losing the money. We have budgeted that we are receiving it this year as far as it's part of our revenue, but we actually will not receive it, as the picture displays up here with these money bags. So you can see that can't see that far, in February of this year, for us, $2.2 million, which we were supposed to receive, we will get that in November. And in March, $3.4 million we'll receive in October, and so on. It totals $18.56 million. We're still able to make payroll. We are still able to meet our obligations because of the ending balance reserve that we have. It allows us to not have to go out and borrow money, and when you go out and borrow money, you pay a cost for that money.
So you have pretty good confidence this money will come in?
This money will come in.
Okay.
Yes.
Eventually.
The question was, do I have confidence that this money will come in next year?
Eventually.
Eventually, yes. The state has in the past used deferrals, and they've honored that commitment, and so we have no reason to believe that they will not.
I think we'll hold him to that, huh, Hilda?
So
no, it's not his fault.
On the expenditure side, at first interim, we were projecting $128.1 million in expenditures. Now at second interim, we've lowered that to $121.43 we've reduced it 6.67. When I stood up here at first interim, we were pretty sure at December there was going to be some federal money coming in, but we could not yet budget for it. And at the end of December, as you know, I call it the CARES Act 2, those funds came in, and that is going to help us out for the remainder of the year to continue to provide the instruction that we do, the distance learning. There's a cost to that, hybrid instruction, and also 5-day instruction. When you put it all together, we were projecting an ending balance, first interim back in December, of $21.09 million. We are now projecting that to be about $27.69 million. Deficit spending an amount of just a little over $3 million. Keep in mind that that ending balance of $27 million, $18 million will be received next year. So that's why it's important to have those reserves. I do believe the state is well aware, and the average district going into this had a reserve of about 17%. The state knew that districts had these monies that they could implement deferrals, if you will.
And this is okay with the county?
With the county? Yes.
Orange County Department of Ed?
Correct. We don't. Very few districts do. There's some they have to go out and they do what's called a trans, where they borrow money for short term. Before, when the recession hit back in 2009-10, many districts were not carrying balances of 17%. They maybe had 5 or 6. And so, therefore, they had to go out and borrow money. Federal and state relief has helped and saved this district and other districts for this year. Remember, a year ago this time, March, we started receiving state money and federal money. We received that in the amount of about $10.5 million. That's what we used to finish out the year. PPE, equipment, testing, distance learning, additional staffing, temperature screening, cleaning. That got us all the way through December. And then we are still, well, we're waiting around. Let's go down to the new funding announced in December, the ESSER 2 money, which was $9.2 million. And that's what we are going to use to get us through the end of this year. There is still another round of federal money that's coming out. The Fed's just, I believe it was $1.9 trillion.
Ridiculous.
And so we will be updating you. I would love to give you some superintendent math. Believe me, the new grandpa has already figured out the dollar amount. So we kind of have a side bet on what it's going to be, so I really don't want to tip my hand at this moment. But that money will be coming in. There's also, as I said, AB 86 and SB 86, which is our additional dollars, which will be coming in too. So the state, the feds understand what COVID-19 has done to education and the cost that school districts have had to bear, and also the loss of learning that has taken place. And so we will be utilizing those dollars in the coming months to support our programs.
Why is the STRS decrease?
Okay, so on slide number 10, we use assumptions. Assumptions are a little bit better than a guess, but they're based on information that we have. And so if we go down here, our unduplicated count, which is where we receive, it's how LCFF is calculated with base funding and supplemental money, has actually gone up a little bit. We're right below the 55% threshold. When that number exceeds 55%, we will then be eligible to receive additional dollars from the state. At first interim, the state categorical, all those COLAs were 0. You can now see what we put in for there. Our average daily attendance, this is the funded portion of it, is 12,462. And then you can see that in 22-23 it actually goes down about 600. That's a catch-up to the loss that we've experienced this year in enrollment. We are confident that some of those will come back. Again, still a little too early to get an accurate number of what that's going to be, but as we get closer to the beginning of the year, we will. Our average LCFF dollars about the same. Last year, they were $9,191. This year, slightly a little bit higher. Next year, they will go up because of the COLA. Step in column on our salary schedules, even without giving any sort of raise or increase to the salary schedules, they do go up about $800,000. The decrease in STRS is the state offered some relief this year and also next year with the obligation that the district has to pay. But you can see they're right back at it again back in 22-23. PERS, we did not receive that break, and so that one goes up
Now,
slightly.
for 22-23, where it's $1.1 million, does that include, do they go back and claw the $500,000 and the $80,000? Or is
So, correct. They need to get back to a level that restores funding for we're talking about STRS, correct? They need to get back to, they need to make sure that that pension fund is funded appropriately. So we received a one-time relief, but then in the out years, it increases again, back to the numbers and the target that they're reaching.
Now, the next year, would it be lower because we've repaid the $500,000 and the $80,000?
Will next year be lower?
That 2023-24, would that go down because we've repaid the red?
It depends where we are on the target. We'll present those numbers. When we present the budget, we'll need to be presenting, it'll be for next year, 22-23 and 23-24. So I can give you a more accurate number there. I don't.
A thought, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So in the out years, again, this looked pretty bleak. When we adopted the budget, it improved at first interim. It's getting a little bit better. Our deficit spending this year, we started with $30.88 million. We're projecting we're going to end with $27.69. Keep in mind that there's some carryover in there of about $1.35 million that we carried over from last year. That is in there. Had that not been the case, our expenditures would be closer to about $120 million, which would be pretty much in line with our revenue. Next year, you will see that the deficit is a lot less. It's under $1 million because we have put in that additional revenue. The out year 22-23, we're right back to deficit spending because what is known as the ADA cliff, or the enrollment cliff. They did hold us harmless for the loss of enrollment this year, but it will catch up with ourselves and a lot of other districts who are declining in 22-23. So revenue will go down dramatically in 22-23. Now, since this is happening all over, I caution you about getting too concerned about this. It's on our radar, but this is happening everywhere, and I'm going to have a little faith the state will come through and help us out. But let's just know that it's out there, based on the assumptions that we know today. So we still have some certainties, and our certainties are uncertainties. That's about the only thing that's certain. Things change. The economy, if you watch the stock market these days, it's up and down. The vaccination rollout, federal relief funding is still a little uncertain. State funding for education, the COVID-19 impact, and then future enrollment. Will it be as dramatic, will it be as low as it could be, like it was this year, or not? So with that, it's our job to recommend a certification. There's 3 types of certification. There's a positive certification, which means you're able to meet your obligation for this year and the current 2 years. Next would be a qualified certification. It means you can meet it for this year, but you may not be able to meet it in the out years. We are not qualified, and a negative means you are unable to meet your obligations this year and the out years. So we're recommending the board approves the second interim report with a positive certification, and as I said, this indicates we'll be able to meet our financial obligations for the current and subsequent 2 fiscal years. Our next steps are to approve this tonight, submit it to OCDE, the Orange County Department of Education. We will be listening, watching for the May revise, which comes out about the second week in May. The governor will then come out with a proposed budget, which we will base our budget on. We will adopt our budget by July 1st. I believe the state will too. We're going to continue to monitor enrollment and spending, and we will prepare and adopt our LCAPs and our budgets. And then before you know it, it's 21, 22, and it's a brand new year. So with that, there's not a slide here. I do want to thank staff. I want to thank Melissa Greenwood and her staff, and for putting this together.
For sure.
She has taken every dollar and squeezed every penny out of it, and really have a lot of confidence in this budget and this interim report. So I want to thank her and her team for doing that. So with that, are there any questions?
I love your picture at the end. You were a cute little boy.
Well, yes, they found that out there of me. That's right.
Do we have some questions?
I have kind of a technical question, just because this is a year where usually you don't get funding halfway through the game, right? I mean, this is like with this SB 86 actually giving schools money prior to a new budget and, you know, doing something different that they've never done before. Do they then take those figures, and just like us, we would adjust our budget, you know, so you would have an adjusted budget. So they would take that in consideration when they do the May revise. They would take into consideration the funding that they're giving out now?
They may. They can't. I know they try. They cannot give the same dollar twice. And so any money that we receive now, that's going to be less money that we can receive in the future. The money that we will be receiving would be restricted dollars. It does not have to be spent this year. I believe we have all the way till August of 2022 to spend those funds.
This budget does not include that new money.
This budget does not include, there's 2 pots of money that aren't included in here. The AB 86, SB 86, and also the latest federal, called the Biden plan, over $1.9 trillion, and we will receive a portion of that. So there's very large chunks of money that are still not in here. Keep in mind, we still have some uncertainties about the future and going into the summer, and we have we've got a lot of makeup to do.
A lot of expenses. Thank you. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, just a hypothetical. I mean, if we didn't have the 1.9 trillion federal plan and I guess what the governor was proposing tonight, actually, would your recommendation change?
Not at all, because we're basing this report without those funds. We would be able to get through this year and into next year using those funds. If those funds weren't coming in, the assumption would be we're back to normal. So the fact that the funds are coming in tell me that we're still a little bit of ways from getting back to the usual. So no, it would not change.
Thanks.
That's good news.
Further? Do I have a motion regarding the second interim?
Well, I'll move to approve the district's second interim financial report with a positive certification.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, a first and a second. Any further discussion?
Nice work.
Nice work, yeah.
Money bags.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0, and a great deal of thanks to your team and to you. We appreciate your clarity, and I appreciate the large type. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving forward, the next item we have on to vote on is our delegates vote for CSBA. You have in front of you a list of all the delegates, and I thought that I'd start off by our most knowledgeable person on most of these people, and I asked Beverly if she has some people she'd like to recommend.
Oh, okay. I think as I'm looking through this, I know we can vote up to 9, but we don't have to do 9. Just based on who I know. I mean, I think that I would recommend to our group. I mean, if that's what you want me to do, is just recommend a few.
Recommend some names.
Few.
Okay.
Michelle Bartow is not an incumbent, but on here, and I think I've dealt with her in the past, so I would recommend her. I would recommend Al-Jabbar. I would recommend, how far do you want me to go? I mean, I don't want to be the only one recommending people,
No,
though.
I was just going to have people talk about people. I was
Okay.
going to say, like,
Oh, okay.
John Briscoe, he sits on the board I sit on for Orange County School Boards, and he is so informed on policy and governance and what's going on in the state. He's remarkable. I believe he is an amazing asset for the school board, and so I would recommend him. You don't have to vote for him. I'm just telling you the people I know. Bonnie Casey, Pastre, if you read her resume, I mean, she teaches, she's a lawyer, she does everything.
She's facilitated she's been our, we had impasse once. She was our facilitator at impasse.
Yeah, she is not only committed to this, she's just a very smart lady who has a breadth of qualifications. So she's somebody else I think I would recommend. Jackie Philbeck, sort of the same. And I agree with you about Al. He's worked a long time and done great things. And, I looked at Charlene Matoye, and she seems to have incredible qualifications. Who is it? One of the people. Okay. She looked really good, and she's fairly new too. This is her first term in office, sort of. And she was really good. Susie Schwartz used to be president of California CSBA. It would be a little bit hard not to vote for her just because, wow. And part of what I was looking at also was that they represent different districts so that different groups get represented. And I thought that was sort of a good thing.
I think Arturo Montes is new. He's not an incumbent, and if you look at his qualifications, he's been on the board for quite a while.
Oh yeah, he comes from Centralia, which is nice.
It's a really small school district. But I think that might be.
I agree with you.
That's north, and I think that'd be kind of someone new with a new perspective.
So we're recommending actually, if we went with.
Do you want to look at people who are kind of close to our district because
go ahead, make some recommendations,
yeah,
Jan.
Carrie and Karen.
Pardon?
Carrie and Karen.
Carrie and Karen, yeah.
I think we've supported Karen in the past.
We
Karen.
have. She's.
Yes.
She's been on their board longer than I've been on this board. She's been a representative forever that I know of. But besides that, she's been on ROP, which is a different thing. She's done Masters in Governance.
Yeah.
When I met her, she was helping to support Orange County Leadership Institute. That's how I first met her. she's a well-versed lady.
I would support her, and it balances sort of the North County, it's our neighbor.
Uh-huh.
So we're down
She's
to
on-
about 10. If you had to drop one, I would suggest not having 2 people from Newport. I think
Okay.
it's good to have a variety of districts.
I really like Shondine. Her resume is, her main problem with her resume, she was doing so much, I'm like, you have 4 kids and you're doing all of this?
And Michelle, that's who you work with, Beth?
Oh, you work with her?
I've worked with Michelle Barton before. I don't work with her, but I've worked
Would you
with her.
recommend her over Charlene?
I don't know Charlene. I only know Michelle.
What do you think?
Personally, I think, I'm all about when people step up and try to do new things and bringing new blood in. I think, Michelle has not had that before. She's not been, she hasn't been serving, so.
Yeah, both of them. Okay.
I agree with her. I think that's a good call.
That's a
So
good
we
call.
have Michelle, John, Bonnie,
Yeah.
Jackie,
Uh-huh.
Carrie, Karen, Al, Arturo, and Susie.
Okay,
That's
anybody
nine.
want to go any other way? So, Michelle, John, Bonnie, Jackie, Karen, Al, Arturo, and Susie. 2,
John is
4,
gonna be a
6,
firecracker.
8. Is that right? 3, 6, 8. Is that good with everybody? What's your 9? Let me read it down. Michelle, John, Bonnie, Jackie, Karen, Al, Arturo, and Susie Schwartz.
Can you clarify if you want Carrie Flanders? I had Carrie Flanders and Karen Freeman.
No, they didn't. Nobody followed through on that one, so no. Okay. Do we have to make a motion or just say that's good?
We do need a motion, please.
Okay. Let me say the names again. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to say them and then somebody put them in a motion.
Trustee Sugarman?
Yeah.
I don't think I was fully heard, but I just wanted to join in on Al Jabbar as well. I think he's a great public servant, just
I agree.
our neighbor to the south. Susie Schwartz, I agree, has an amazing resume and will bring a great voice. If everybody wants to support John Briscoe, that's fine. I would just say that maybe I think that maybe we've given a lot of votes to our coastal communities in South Orange County here, and if we were interested in reducing our votes, I would suggest that we start with him.
One thing that you could consider though is that this is not the full board, that, there are others that just their terms are not up for me.
Halfway. Yeah.
So you said Jackie, no?
No, Jackie, yes.
And Carrie, yes?
No,
I'm-
Carrie, no.
I'm yes on, we didn't say yes to Carrie.
Okay.
And I was yes on everybody. I just said that if we were looking to cut one more, I would say that Mr. Briscoe and the other coastal and South Orange County communities are already well represented in our vote tonight, but realizing I'm only one person, just wanted to say
I
that.
would agree with you. I would say the same thing.
Okay, so we've got Newport Mesa, Ocean View, Huntington Beach, Anaheim, Placentia, Anaheim, but one's high school, one's elementary, Centralia, and Saddleback.
That's 9.
Odd, right? 9? What do you guys think? I don't think,
Definitely 8. That's
only 8. So we're good?
Yeah, we can stay with 8.
Okay, Jenny, want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the official 2021 delegate assembly ballot with Michelle Bartow, John Briscoe, Bonnie Castry, Jackie Gilbrecht, Karen M. Freeman, Al Jabbar, Arturo Montez, and Susie Schwartz.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Guys, did a good job. Okay, now we move on to the attendance calendar. And notice how many people are here to watch. First reading. There is one thing that isn't on it that I wanted to say, maybe we would put on it, the day the administrators report back. The day the administrators report. We have the date the teachers come back and the date the students come back, but I didn't ever, not even a minute.
Our administrators, do have different reporting dates depending on what's happening at their schools, and they work what's called a positive work year calendar. So the administrators will work, have different starting dates, so it's difficult for us to put one specific.
I see. I thought there was a specific date.
No, they start at different dates, and
the principals?
The principals as well have different start dates depending on whether they're at a junior high, a K, or an elementary. And that may look a little different also depending on what's happening at their school. Some of them may start a few days earlier or a few days later depending on what type of summer training, staff development, summer programs they have going on. Generally more or less, but it can be 3 to 4 days one way or another from that.
Mid-July.
Thank you for explaining. Okay.
You know what's not on here is the day the office is open. What day our school office is open.
Yes, and we announce that later as we get closer to the beginning of the year.
Is that intentional?
Because we also have to determine what our classified work year calendar looks like, but that can't be determined until we are able to determine our school attendance calendar.
Got it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, does anyone else have any questions?
And is this going out to all of our community so they can look at it? I mean, have we made an effort to show it to Champions of Learning and PTA so all of our parents have seen it?
They're involved in our committee. They're involved in our calendar formation committee. We post it here on the board agenda. However, to avoid confusion, we generally do not send it out until it's board approved.
Right.
So people don't think this is the final in case there's any changes prior to final board approval.
I would like to see, though, us to make sure that our parents that are in those groups know that it's out for consideration and that, you know, they can share that. Because I would like to hear from our community of parents that if this calendar, if there's anything in there that's concerning to them, you know, I want to make sure everyone knows we're going to approve it.
Well, it's attached to our agenda tonight. I mean, if.
Yeah, it was, but again.
We can share it also with you after the PTA. Right.
And the other thing is how does it relate to the high school district?
It matches the high school district as far as student attendance days, day for day.
Okay.
And our parents that are involved in the committee spoke to us loud and clear that they really wanted to make sure that our elementary calendar mirrored that of the high school district.
Right. Thank you.
No other questions? Great.
2022.
Guess what? Any requests from the board? Requests from the board? Oh, I was about to adjourn.
Almost. Yeah, I'd like to request a presentation of the shared joint use agreement with the city of Fullerton on the field use. So I'd like to see a presentation maybe at the next board meeting on that.
On the field use, the dual use with our city.
The shared joint use agreement. And then also maybe some information on promotions for 8th grade, 6th grade, and any other promotions that happen at the schools. I know there's been some questions brought to me by some parents who have a 6th grader, so we've been asking about potential promotions. So maybe like an update that we can share with the public on how that's going, and if there's going to be anything and kind of what we're doing, if there's any innovative ways to celebrate promotions this year, this school year.
have a committee that we put together, and so they're still working on it. There was some initial discussion for both 6th and 8th grade and what sorts of supports will be needed for our district. So more to come here. We'll be meeting in the next couple of weeks with some follow-up meetings.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Good question. Good question. Our next board meeting will be held on April 11th. We know you're excited. And we are adjourned. Thank you. April 13th? How did I read that wrong? Oh, well. Some people will come here on a Sunday and enjoy. Maybe there'll be a little party in the parking lot.